I remember it like it was yesterday. Me and McGlobe were just chilling, minding our own business, just playing some games, and then Raidmeister comes over, spinning around. You know what he's like with his mechanics. He's always been like that. And he stopped in the middle, and I remember it was like time just stood still for a moment as he started telling me about this idea he had. We could tell it was urgent. We knew he wanted to tell us something that was amazing. Where you could take players in Rocket League and you could put them on a card, and then on the card they could have their country of origin, their flag, their controller, PS4, Xbox, keyboard, and obviously their name across the top of it. And then underneath you would have a statistical breakdown of areas of the player's game. So like aerial, mechanics, awareness, defense. And it sounded really good, but my first thought was, how the hell do you do a project like that? I'm always a big believer in just doing stuff, not just thinking about the idea or the concept of it, but actually getting stuck in there. You know, so many people have so many great ideas and they never do anything with it because they don't act upon it. I knew when Raid was saying this that we had to act upon it, and McGlobe and Raid, they were down for it. They wanted to make it happen, so we stayed up all night that night. I remember that first conversation started at 12 and ended about 8 a.m. just in crazy. We started making the first ever card. We had like 20 different ideas for the design. What stats do we use? You know, that took a lot of discussing. We did change a few, but we were pretty happy with how the first card came out. We made a Raid card, and back then it was, 0 to 10. Now it's 0 to 99. And we were going to add decimal places and stuff like that in, but yeah, that first card, it was interesting looking back now. And then I remember McGlobe was like, but we need to turn this into a game, and we need to have different areas. So he got to work straight away, and he made an incredible template for a diamond card. And the idea was that it was a bit plainer. And the cards that you were going to get was going to be based off your 1v1 rank as far as the background. And the reason for that is because no one could get boosted, so we had to make it fair. And I'm a big believer that ones is a true test of skill. So the diamond card is fairly plain when you compare it to Champ 1 card, which has a little bit more to it, and then the Champ 2 has even more to it, has a few more fades across it. And then when you get to Champ 3, all of a sudden it's very hard rank to get in ones, and you get all of a sudden like a holographic and a metallic effect. And then we saved obviously the best design for Grand Champ, where we added the red and the gold border. So yeah, that was brilliant. I mean, McGlobe, he worked hard at night. He really did. So we carried on tinkering with the cards and sort of came up with a design that we wanted to use. But then we needed to figure out, how are we going to stat these cards? And how are we going to come to an agreement? So we knew now, it's changed since then, but it was in decimals. So we were doing 0 to 9.9. And we all just put a bunch of names. It was the people who were on the stream a lot. We had 45 or 42 actually. Originally 42 players, and we just started statting them. What we wanted to do is we wanted to take the top players and create them as a reference point. If we started too high, the game would be no good, and if we started too low, then it wouldn't really build anything for people. Like, no hype, like, oh, they're that good and they've only got 70, so we had to put the top players in the 80s and the 90s and then build down from there. So Raid, he's like the king of Excel, this guy, and he just went to town coming up with these numbers, and he got the green light from me and McGlobe, but he really was the driving force in that. And at this point, we still didn't actually have a game per se. This was just building the cards, coming up with the stats, kind of like people could collect cards, but we had literally no way of having people battle these cards. No idea how people were going to get them. This was literally all this came first. We just made the cards and the stats, and that took ages. I mean, this is a condensed view of it, and we did a lot on that first night, but really this is something that took a month or maybe even 2 months just to get the first couple of cards made and polished. So once we got the outline, once we got the shape and knew what we were doing, we had the stats, it was just time to get to work and grind them out. But we still had no idea how we were going to turn this into a game.